felt compelled to make this video today because it's something which I'd been thinking about for a while, and we're talking about your imperfections and your self-doubts. But the good news is that they're only your perceived imperfections. Your entire life, you're told that you're not good enough. You're not perfect. You can't do this. You can't do that. Well, that's just the world telling you. That's just the world trying to guide you in the wrong direction. Focusing on imperfections or your lack of ability in any sense only leads to dissatisfaction. When you're dissatisfied with yourself, that leads you into conflict with your soul, because your soul always knows the truth. All of your shortcomings or perceived shortcomings are only shortcomings in your mind, in your consciousness. They're not shortcomings in your soul, in your inner self, in your being. So what happens when you give yourself permission to let go, permission to forgive yourself about your perceived failures, imperfections, shortcomings? And I'm talking about anything. It can be absolutely anything, whether it's mistakes or shortcomings with your family. Maybe it was that specific person or relationship or your profession. But remember, there's a difference and a distinction between failures and perceived failures, because as human beings, naturally, we tend to look for, firstly, the negative in anything. But most importantly, we look at the negatives in ourselves. If we think about the mirror effect, the duality in this world, when you look in the mirror, if you don't like what you're looking at, well, then that will reflect on your existence. That will reflect on your experience here on Earth. And it's a really interesting concept. Maybe that's why there are mirrors absolutely everywhere. I mean, think about it when you see people walking down the street. It's actually quite funny when you catch themselves looking at themselves in the reflection of a shop window or in the window of a car. Well, we're thinking about that from a vanity perspective. And at the same time, being confident with what we look like can lead to confidence. But if you're really satisfied with who it is that you are, then you don't need to be looking in the mirror in the first place. But the difference is, and this is the most important thing, is that there is no such thing as perfection. Only the world has created perfection, society, civilization. There is no such thing as perfection. If you was to go to a plastic surgeon and ask for perfection, they'd turn around and say they can't do it. They only look for improvement. So if you take that concept and apply that to yourself in any facet of life, in any facet of your life, then you'll see that you can see improvement in all situations. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are or how you feel, and about how you feel about other people or how you feel about yourself. You can always find improvement. And we're not talking about self-improvement or self-development. We're talking about improvement in situations. When you become aware of this process and allow your mind and your heart and your soul to receive in positivity and for you to think and transmit positively, well, this changes your reality. That allows you to jump to a new timeline or a new lifeline. Because if you're thinking negatively, if you're reflecting on yourself or your self-perception, then you will create a negative reality for yourself. That's why when you cross paths with people who are consistently negative and they always see something bad and even something magnificent, something beautiful and something positive, there's people out there who will always see something negative in that. Well, are they happy? Is that the world creating a negative experience for them, or are they creating a negative experience for themselves? Because are we not what we think? Ultimately, what's happened is negative thought patterns, negative thought cycles impress and impose themselves on your subconscious, and then they intrude into your 3D reality. So let go. And it's perfectly okay to have shortcomings because, like I say, nobody is perfect. I'm not perfect and you're not perfect. And even the people who are put up on pedestals as the perception of perfection, these people aren't perfection. these people aren't perfect either. And it's really important to remember that, because when we dwell on imperfections and negative doubts and insecurities and shortcomings, that is who you will become. And it's what's holding you back. Now, this sounds simple and it sounds easier said than done, and it takes time and it takes practice and it takes rewiring your mind and it takes reframing the world and it takes reframing situations and reframing yourself. But with practice, this doesn't even require any thought. We're talking about turning negative situations, negative perceptions, be it about yourself, be it about a situation or an experience, and making that positive. And forget about self-criticism as well. That's important, because you don't have to do much to be criticized by other people, whether it's your family, partners, people on the street, especially people in the workplace. You're always just one slip up away from being criticized. Well, what does it matter? Because you have to be happy with yourself and you have to be happy with who you are. And once you're happy with who you are, then your mind and your heart will start transmitting positive thoughts, positive vibrations. And it's these positive vibrations which create a positive timeline or lifeline for you. If we're thinking negatively and we're resonating a negative frequency, a negative vibration, then we create a negative life for ourselves. You have inadvertently created a negative experience for yourself just by thinking negatively. And it doesn't have to be from the moment you were born up until now. It could have been for a select period of time. It could have been a week resonating at a negative vibration. It could have been a month. Maybe you found yourself doing it for 5 or 6 years. On reflection, I've found myself certainly pulsating at a low vibration, probably for about 4 or 5 years. And I can assure you that that affected my reality, and it affected it for the worse. And it took a lot of work and a lot of hard work and a lot of acceptance to change that into positive thinking, which has led me to a positive lifeline and a new positive timeline where I'm experiencing reality in a completely different way. It's been 360 only through the power of thought and belief and acceptance. And accepting shortcomings or failures isn't about admitting defeat. It's not about looking in the mirror or waking up in the morning thinking, I'm worthless, I can't improve. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When you stop using your energy and your mind and your thought and your heart and your emotions and your feelings on trying to rectify and modify perceived failures or shortcomings, then that energy can be used and diverted to making your situation more positive, to make it more fortuitous. And we're not talking about necessarily about self-development. If you've got a battery and you've got 2 different things plugged into it, or 2 light bulbs, for example, right? You can only, once the battery starts getting drained, one of those light bulbs will start going out. So if you unplug the other light bulb, all that energy will be diverted to the light bulb which remains plugged in. If you unplug the negativity, naturally by default, by the laws in this place, the energy will be diverted to the positive, because there has to be a balance at all times, because your mind and your body and your soul and your heart is always searching for an equilibrium, doesn't want to be out of sync. And all of these feelings, these emotions, they can lead to dissatisfaction. And when you start resonating at a dissatisfied vibration, well, again, that intrudes onto your reality and the cycle continues, the loop continues. And that is, you're attracting in more dissatisfaction with yourself. And it's not necessary. It just takes the smallest mindset shift. And you can see anything negative, you can simply turn that into positive, even if it means feigning it. If you go outside and it's pouring down with rain, you don't have an umbrella, or the heavens open up and you start getting soaked, you look around, people start running for cover. People start trying to run into shops and into offices and running into the car. People get angry, but it's just rain. It's just water. You can see positives in that. You can make a joke. You can start singing, I'm singing in the rain. I've seen people do that and it's made me laugh. And in fact, their positivity is then been diverted into me to raise my happiness. And if you're happy, then your mind starts transmitting happy, positive energy, which allows you to go to bed happy. It allows you and means that you wake up happy. And ultimately what it does is it moves you onto a happy, positive timeline. And it is as simple as that. And always remember that be sure to use any negative situations or dissatisfactions for the positive, for the good. When you turn any negative situation into a positive situation, you then use that for your own advantage. Just about harnessing and making use of everything that we've got access to, everything that you have access to. It's already inside you. You don't have to use other people. You don't have to think about that person over there. You don't need any special tools. Everything you need is already inside you. It just needs a switch to be flicked. And maybe that switch is already on. Maybe it just needs to be pushed again. Maybe you didn't know that switch was there and you're still trying to find it. Well, hopefully this video is going to help you, because that's what I want to do. Because I've been through this. I've been through long periods of time of negative thinking and negative feeling, and it made my life much worse. Now I can sit here and make this video and I can reflect back on that. And I can use my experience to just help you get onto that correct timeline, the timeline that you want, the timeline that you desire, the timeline that you want to manifest for yourself. And it's not as hard as you thought, and it won't be difficult, and it isn't difficult. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video today and our talk. Please add any comments if you've got any, and like and subscribe as always, and like all of my videos. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.